Things in my career I've just sort of done because they were there and they presented them, but this was something that like I decided when I got here I wanted to go.
That's great. That's great.
Somewhere. And so I remember when I was a freshman, you know, coming here and I'm thinking, oh, how do I get the opportunity to go abroad? You know, wandered over. I remember like sneaking into the office and looking at brochures. Like I didn't want anyone to ask me a question. You know, I was very shy, and so I didn't want, you know. And so I got the brochures and I read, okay, this is when you apply. And I was right when I was a freshman. I came and I got all the information.
Oh, what did you think of the quality of the courses when you were there?
I enjoyed them. You know, it was a bit of a challenge, and you know, in science I was taking it all in German, but a lot of the vocabulary is the same. You know, if you're learning about biochemistry, there's gluconeogenesis, which is gluconeogenese. You know, so the terms are all root Latin terms, and so you don't really. It wasn't that hard to understand the scientific vocabulary at all.
But how about the ability to work with people from different nationalities and different language communities and things like that? Did you find more of that opportunity, sort of starting there, than what you would have had if you just stayed in Santa Barbara, you know, for your junior year?
Yeah. I mean, there was some of that. Although now science is fairly international, and so there is a mixture of different people. You know, when I got to Berkeley, there was a mixture of people from different places, and I like that about science. You know, people say, what was it like to move from California to New York? And I say, I don't know, because at Berkeley there was a mixture of international people, and at the institute I was in New York there was a mixture of international people, and the people that you actually interact with day to day. It's different when you go out and go to the grocery store and they have a New York accent, But, so I think it's more of a broadening your horizons and looking to be able to see, and I think that kind of way of thinking matters a lot in terms of doing something new in science. That being able to realize that there might be something you haven't thought of before, some other way to do something.
Any kind of, we've already talked a little bit about this, but specific advice you'd give to students in the sciences about considering study abroad and how that might be relevant to the future and the direction that you see the science is moving in now, the way things are?
Well, I mean, science is certainly very interdisciplinary, but I think that by having sort of broad horizons and seeing how things are done very differently with very good effect in different places, just gives you a way of thinking more broadly. That one particular way of doing things isn't necessarily the only way to do it, people talk about thinking outside the box, and that's kind of a cliche now. But it's true if you have experience that things can be done in a very different way than you're used to, and still be very nice and very effective. Then you can apply that to thinking about science as well, to be sort of more broad-minded, and not just see that one thing that you're accustomed to. So. I think that kind of broad way of thinking is more important than any particular scientific tip you might.
Didn't you walk into a graduate lab looking for a course, and then you give me a connection there? I mean,
yeah, right. So I didn't quite understand they had this course catalog. So I was working in the laboratory here in Les Wilson's laboratory, doing a project, and they knew somebody that was at the Max Planck in Goettingen, so they set me up to do a lab project. And so I went there for the first semester and went up to the Max Planck and was doing a lab project up there. But then I was looking for the second semester in the course catalog for something interesting courses to do, and there's one on chromosome biology. And I hadn't realized that in the course catalog, for them to have their graduate students get credit for their lab meetings, they had to put it down as a course. And so I'm like wandering through this old university building, and I walk in, and here's like an ongoing lab meeting with 12 people sitting around a table, and they're discussing stuff in German. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." They said, "No, come in." And they were very nice. I said, "Come in, sit down." And I said, "I was looking for this course." They said, "Oh, that's our lab meeting." And then there was somebody there that wanted to take me under his wing. He was an assistant professor, and he said, "Come, I want to show you something in the lab." And he showed me how to make chromosomes from these species that are related to Drosophila, and they basically grabbed me. And so then I gave up my other position that I had at the Max Planck and started working at the university, and it was terrific. They were very nice.